Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, and welcome to today's podcast on organization. And The laboratory needs to be able to show a clear organizational structure, indicating who has overall responsibility for laboratory activities and who reports to who. An organogram or organizational chart is an important tool for this. The lab also needs to show that there is planning and control in the day-to-day and periodic tasks to ensure a well-oiled system. At the end of this session, you should be able to do the following. One, describe organizational elements needed for a quality management system. Two, discuss management roles and responsibilities in a quality system. Three, explain the process for designing, implementing, maintaining, and improving the lab quality management system. And four, explain the purpose for a quality manual. Now, it is essential, as I said before, that the manager is committed to a quality management system. Without the management commitment, it will be impossible, nigh very difficult, to be able to plan and do the activities that we are going to describe in this podcast. So, and secondly, as I indicated a few moments earlier, an organizational structure is designed to assure these quality goals. Who is reporting to who? Both vertically and horizontally. And usually, this organogram is the first document that the auditors ask for once they come for an inspection. They want to see who is reporting to the other person and how the reporting lines are indicated. Now, there should be clear leadership and management roles. In the organizational structure, planning process, implementation, monitoring, maintenance, and improvement. These must be clearly defined out in a chart that everybody is able to see at a glance how the lab is run and how the lab leadership and management activities are reporting to the overall organization of the institution. Now, when we say leadership are responsible for exercising authority while providing motivation and vision, and also influencing and encouraging staff to good performance. I always say and believe that it's okay for you to give me responsibility, but also alongside that, you should also give me the authority to be able to carry out the responsibilities that you have given me. So responsibility goes alongside authority. And once you have these two, then you are able to influence and encourage staff to good performance. And because today's topic is not just on leadership, I will not go into detail of the various leadership styles, but that will be for another time. What about the management responsibilities? Is to implement and continuously improve the quality management system, and also to document and communicate to all personnel, and to provide a quality manual. It is good enough to have a quality manual, but the quality manual will be an excellent document that is in the shelves, that is in folders. If the staff do not have copies and are not familiar and intricately involved with the quality manual. And this quality manual, it will show us what is the plan, what is the start date, what is the completion date, who is responsible for each individual task. Management commitment. This is extremely important. Now, let me explain it by commitment, define it as there is commitment and there is involvement. We can say that chicken are involved in the production of eggs, but a pig is committed to the production of bacon because the pig has to lose its life for bacon to be on our table, while the chicken doesn't have to lose its life for us to get our omelette. So there has to be commitment, whether it's from the Minister of Health, or the institutional director, the research director, the finance manager, whoever is responsible for the finances, whoever is responsible for making the check, there has to be that commitment. And also, laterally, there has to also be staff commitment via staff meetings and other avenues. Now, how is the organization structure defined? We establish a working structure that ensures sufficiency at all parts in the lab workflow so that there is no redundancy and multiple steps. Somebody does not report to two different people at the same time. I remember sometimes in my career where I had 6 bosses that I was reporting to. It was very difficult to work because some of the bosses are working at cross purposes with each other, and now you don't know whom to go to for any particular activity. It is always ideal for one individual to report to one individual, and the steps goes from top to bottom or bottom to up. And also designate responsibilities and roles and develop an organization chart as indicated. After you've done all of this, you must designate a quality manager and allocate sufficient resources. The quality manager is the key. This is the individual whom a lot is going to rely on. And depending on one, their competence, their commitment, then it would be easy or difficult to achieve the objectives that have been set out by the lab and the organization. Now, once you've done that, you determine the path of the workflow. How does the work flow? And in a typical hospital laboratory, it starts with the patient. If they're walk-in patients or they're institutional patients, then it starts with them. But if it is a research lab, then it could also start with the community. It could be clinical trial patients, it could be community participants, where you get the samples. And once the patient has been identified, then there is the test selection. This phase we call the pre-examination phase. We do the test selection, we collect the samples, and the samples are going to be determined by the test that is selected and whether these tests are available or not. And sample transportation. Some of these samples must be transported to the laboratory for testing at the shortest time possible. For example, cerebrospinal fluid, it has to arrive in the lab within 30 minutes because there is degradation of the sample as time goes by. A lot of the biological samples will degrade anyway if they are not collected properly, they are not transported properly, and they are not contained properly until they arrive in the laboratory. Then we have the examination phase. Depending on the criteria, the acceptance rejection criteria that has been set in place, the laboratory will either accept these samples or reject these samples. And you don't just reject the samples and throw them away, but in consultation with the test requester. This could be the bedside physician, this could be the clinical trials manager, or whoever it is who requested for this test. Once those have been corrected, then the sample is shipped to the bench where it is going to be analyzed and a report created. After that, the post-examination phase, after the report has been created, reviewed, signed to show responsibility, then the report is transported for result interpretation. As I indicated in my previous talk, that we do not interpret the results. We just indicate what we have got. The test requester will be able to interpret the results in together with other clinical symptoms that the test requester is seeing in the patient at that time. If need be, then they can come back and consult with us in the lab that what do these figures mean? Can I have a repeat of this test? Do you recommend another test? And then looking at how this organogram looks like, unless you are running an independent laboratory, a standalone independent laboratory, then the laboratory director would be at the top of the organogram. Otherwise, there will be a hospital director or a research director at the top of the organogram. The laboratory director will report directly to the hospital director. And one line below the lab director would be the technology in charge or the lab manager, as the case may be. And then alongside that, in the same level, there'll be the quality assurance, quality control manager, or in short, just the quality manager. And one line below that, there'll be the assistant managers and the technologists, testing technologists. In the other side, the hospital director will be having reporting to them the nursing director, who will be alongside the lab director and the nursing staff. And depending on how the institution is structured, there'll be the finance and administration side, there'll be the human resource and talent side also. Now, what does the quality manager do? What is this person responsible for? The quality manager is an ISO 15189 requirement that without this person, without the lab director, then it is impossible to meet the requirements of the ISO 15189. And the quality manager has a responsibility and authority to oversee compliance. As I indicated earlier, that you give somebody a responsibility, but you also give them authority to be able to enforce the things that are required. The quality manager has to be given space by the lab director for them to be able to do what they need to do for the work to be accomplished and the set objectives to be achieved. And other thing that the quality manager is responsible for, he or she reports directly to the decision-making level of lab management. That is, they report directly to the lab director. The problem is if you put them to report to another level below the lab director, then the lab director will be receiving filtered information and will not be able to see the progress that is being made in the implementation of the standards. Other duties of the quality manager, that is the responsibilities, are monitoring the quality management system, assuring and ensuring compliance with these standards, reviewing all records, conducting and coordinating audits, investigating deficiencies, and informing decision makers of the above. The quality manager is the person that you are going to rely on to tell you in the first instance, are the equipment working? Are people using the SOPs and using them properly? Samples being handled the way they're supposed to be handled properly? Are the SOPs up to date? Are the technical documents up to date? Which ones need reviewing? Which ones needs to be discarded? The documents, are they available at the places that needed to be? And if not, investigate deficiencies. Why are things happening? What needs to be done so that they don't happen again in a certain way? Now, let us look at how you plan the quality management system. It's a series of steps. And if we start from the very beginning, there are different approaches and which vary with the local situation. It is very easy to take, adopt, and use a quality management manual from another facility. I never encourage this because each facility has got unique characteristics, right from language to culture and the way that things work. Doesn't mean, I'm not implying here that, a lab in facility A in country A should work differently from a lab in facility B in country B. No. The way things are done is universal, and it has to be done in a certain way, otherwise not done at all. So there are also many factors that influence the starting point. Where do you start from? One is management decision and management commitment. Are the management committed for the lab to have the quality manual, not only to have the quality manual, but to try and achieve the accreditation, either by ISO or College of American Pathologists or any other accrediting standard that the lab might be using? This should also include all the quality elements in the plan, and it may be implemented in a stepwise process. Don't try to implement everything at the same time. You will feel frustrated. Take the low-hanging fruits, the easy to get to achieve targets, and move with those. That is also going to give the lab encouragement, is going to give the staff encouragement and motivation that, wow, now we have one SOP. Yes, we can do the other one. Do not write the SOPs for the lab. I always emphasize on this point. Let the end user write the SOP. However bad it is, you should coach them, you should mentor them to be able to write, because they are going to be the ones who are going to use these SOPs. Because it is very easy to just take a textbook and follow what the textbook says, or follow what the manufacturer of the test or the equipment is suggesting. But these have to be adopted to real life situations. Always keep in mind that you need to be you could communicate, be transparent, and set feasible timelines. Don't set unrealistic timelines, because again, as I keep on repeating, you will feel frustrated. Set timelines that you are able to achieve. And if you start with low-hanging fruits, you should be able to achieve and build on the successes that you are getting day to day. Develop realistic, measurable objectives. What have you set for the next 1 week? What have you set for the next 1 month? What have you set for the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 1 year, and 5 years? So there has to be a time plan and objectives that you are working at. But also importantly is set priorities and proceed, like I said, in a stepwise fashion. That, our priority number one is to hire the staff, including the quality manager. Now we have them on board, we have agreed, and we have buy-in from the management and from the staff that we are working towards getting accreditation. And what are the elements that we require to get our accreditation? One is to have the quality manual. How long should it take us to develop the quality manual? 6 months. Okay, let's get down to it. And we have a plan. We have developed a plan, and we work in a stepwise fashion to achieve that plan. Then, the next step that you want to do is to conduct a gap analysis. What do you have? What don't you have? Determine the gaps using the quality management system checklist, and develop a task list. This is, as I said earlier, prioritizing the tasks that you're going to be able to, because you'll not be able to do everything all at the same time. Because if you're juggling too many balls in the air, you're going to drop some of those balls or drop all of them. You don't want to do that. So prioritize by quick fixes first, and determine that what would have the greatest positive impact. In terms of staff morale, I always look at the staff morale, that if we are able to achieve something, the staff are going to be motivated, the management are going to be motivated, and they are going to encourage you and provide the resources that you require to be able to move on. In the gap analysis, some of the common problems that have been identified or are identified are: one, test ordering. Sometimes people order tests which are not available, so we must have a test menu, and for the lab customers to clearly see what tests are available in the lab. Sample management, training level. Always, I have tried to hire fresh graduates. Indeed, there is everything to say to hire somebody with 15 years experience. But they also come with their own biases, with their own set ways. these fresh graduates, you are able to mold them to the person that you like them to be, or you can have a mixture of the two. Depends on what works for you. But yes, you've come with your certificates that you got this level of training. You must conduct on-board training and determine their competence. You only allow the staff to start testing patient samples after they have passed the competency assessment, the internal competency assessment. Ensure that there is quality control for every step of the way, and ensure that the analytical process is also conducted in a proper way, recording and reporting results. If it needs a second reviewer, and always there must be second reviewer, you as the lab director, you as the lab manager, you as a section head, don't just append your signature on things that you don't understand. Sometimes a comma, sometimes a full stop placed wrongly can have dire consequences on the results. And important, reagent and equipment management. How many times have we seen our staff coming to us on a Friday afternoon that, excuse me, sir, we have run out of Crystal Violet. It's Friday, and Crystal Violet, you're ordering it and shipping it from abroad, and your next shipment is not due for the next 2 months, and you're not kept abreast that we are running low of Crystal Violet. So here you are, patient sample is there, and it's critical that the gram stain be done, but you don't have Crystal Violet. So you must have a reagent and equipment management. When are the equipment going to be serviced? Daily servicing, weekly servicing and maintenance, and annual servicing and maintenance. Now, the region quality management system plan should include the following elements. What should be done? Who will be responsible? When it should be done, that is a timeline. How many resources are needed? And the benchmarks. So we say we are going to develop the forms, the technical forms, the blank forms, or the lab request forms. That is the task. Who will be responsible? The section heads. When should this be done? 1 month, 4 weeks. How many resources are needed? You need laptops, or you need desktops, you need printing paper, you need dedicated personnel time. Whatever is needed has to be made available. On the implementation, there has to be commitment to complete these tasks that you have defined, and prepare for implementation in stages. I keep emphasizing that you cannot do everything all at once. That is a recipe for failure and massive frustration. So have a timeline, like I said, indicated. You're starting with the forms, then the technical documents, then the procedural SOPs, whatever it is that you have determined that you're going to do. Determine what you're going to do and determine the time that you're going to do it. Assure the resources that are required are available. It's always good to have an excellent plan, but a plan without resources remains just that, a plan. Use a Gantt chart and be sure that everybody is responsible, and then press the start button and say, let's go, let's do this. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on the Gantt chart. You can refer to other places, other resources, see what is the Gantt chart, how it works, and how it should be done. Provide the resources. The biggest resource here is financial requirement, a budget. The lab must have a dedicated budget, because if you don't have the budget, then it means that everything else will not be done, will not be possible. Because if you have to keep on running up and down for money, even for fuel, even to buy paper, then it will be a massively difficult task to complete. Personnel needs. Do you need additional staff? What kind of skill sets? Is training needed? where is it needed, who is going to provide this, and the time to provide this, and the facilities, what kind of equipment, the supplies, computers, all of these resources. You, as a team lead, whether you're the lab manager, whether you're lab director, or whatever term that you use, you should be able to identify these resources, plan for them, and ensure that they're available to the staff at the time and place that is required. So, we have provided the resources. We have a plan. We have prepared a Gantt chart, and we have determined that this is what we're going to do. And we have switched on the start button, and people working. We have to be able to monitor compliance. Are the things that we said are going to be done being done? Assign responsibility to individual people, to the managers, to the section heads, to the team leads, to the quality manager, to the biomedical engineers, to the finance manager, to the lab admin. All of these people, they need to be given responsibilities. And develop indicators. What are the indicators? That within the next 1 week, before the next weekly meeting, I need to see drafts of all the forms that are being developed, and establish a monitoring system. People don't like to be supervised. Unfortunately, they have to be supervised. I always say that indeed we may be friends, but our friendship starts and ends at the gate of the institution. At the workplace, we need to work. We need to ensure that we deliver on the objectives set by the institution. Conduct scheduled and unscheduled audits. This could just be as simple as management by walk around. Just walk around and see whether it's being done. Because people will tell you, yes, we're doing it. Yes, I'm almost finished. Yes, I will deliver this. But if you don't push it, they will not do it. And have a management review. You would have determined through your Gantt chart when this management review is due and when it should be done, and ensure that it is done. After all of that is done, schedule an internal audit. And I'm assuming at this point that you have arranged for training, either internally or externally, but it's better to do this externally so that the staff get certification as certified internal auditors, and then have a plan, draw up a plan for an internal audit, and make sure that it is done to even higher standards than the external auditors would do, so that you don't have nasty surprises during the external audit. Now, let us look again in detail as to what is a quality manual. This is a document describing the quality management system of an organization. It describes the quality management system of an organization, and it is an essential organizational step, and it is a management responsibility. It communicates information. It serves as a framework for meeting quality system requirements, and demonstrates management's commitment to quality. That we can be able to see at a glance by reading the quality manual what is the management commitment to the quality of work within that facility, and what are they undertaking to provide in terms of human, equipment, and financial resources for the lab to be able, or for the organization to meet its quality requirements. And it communicates quality policy, and it needs management approval and regular updating. The management must approve the quality manual because it is an IOU that you're getting from the management, and that they are undertaking that we are providing this for you to be able to provide that. And to be updated regularly, maybe after 1 year or 2 years. I usually go for 2 year review, because once your systems are established, they don't change every day. So, but determining with your unique circumstances wherever you are, you will determine when it should be changed. It should be reviewed, changed, and updated. Successful implementation of the quality manual requires the following. Having management committed, I cannot overemphasize this fact about management commitment, that they must show commitment, not only show, but demonstrate it. Understanding the benefits of a quality management system, engaging staff at all levels, laterally and horizontally, and striving to continually improve and having realistic expectations. We set out to set up a brand new lab, which we did, and gave ourselves 2 years from setting up of the lab to achieving ISO 15189 accreditation. And we was moving along fine until COVID happened. That really set us back, and instead of 2 years, we took 4 years, but we were able to achieve because we set realistic expectations, and everything was brand new, including the staffing. So we didn't have the problem of established biases of the staff and the institution. What is the intent to action? We must show our intention to action, that we are going to do it, and this is the way we are going to do it, and this is what is going to take us for us to do it. And in order to show this intention to action, we have to be able to assign responsibility for implementation, allocate the resources that are required, develop and distribute a quality manual, implement the quality system, and monitor compliance with quality management system requirements. Some of these steps are very painful, but without them, you will not be able to achieve anything. No pain, no gain. And the pain means that, providing minute by minute, day by day oversight. And at this point in time, maybe if you wear a watch, you wear it as a jewelry piece, but not to check in the time that you've come in and the time that you're leaving in the evening, because sometimes you have to stay in the lab until midnight, and near inspection times, sometimes you have to stay there 24/7 to ensure that everything in this place and everything is working the way it's required to. Remember, quality is not a science. It's a way of thinking. You have to be able to ingrain this culture in your team, that, they will do it without thinking. They will do it as natural, as their second nature to them. Spend time today to gain rewards tomorrow through quality results, efficiency, professional and personal satisfaction, and peer recognition. When you finally have that certification and you have that banner outside your lab, that this lab is ISO 15189 2022 certified, or College of American Pathology, CAP, accredited. Probably you're the only lab in the country that are certified or accredited at that time. You get peer recognition, and that people are able to trust your results. And also, this will act as an attractant for further resources to be brought up into your facilities. Now, who is responsible for quality, you might say? I say everyone. From the janitor to the lab director to the hospital director. Everybody, the whole team are responsible. It's not anybody's job, it is everybody's job. I know people say that, if you assign everybody to do something, then nobody will do it. But we attached earlier that we assign responsibility to individual persons and give them the authority to be able to do the work. So thank you very much for listening to me. And I encourage you to post your questions in the comment section here, or reach out to me through my email. My email is joundo664@gmail.com. I'll repeat that again, joundo664@gmail.com, or joundo@hotmail.com, or reach me via my Facebook page, Babu Joe, and X, formerly Twitter, or on TikTok. Thank you very much, and see you next week.